What's good, everyone? Welcome to the first ever Fantastic Hip Hop YouTube video. I'm so excited to be here. You know, it's me, Mark, and yeah, let's get right into this. So today we're going to be ranking Kanye West's entire discography, one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. This is one of the discographies that I think people rank all the time. So many different answers, no wrong answers, but I'm going to go through my list. I've had this same list now for probably about the better part of a year, and I really do agree with it, and it's pretty set in stone at this point for me. So, yeah, let's get right into it. And be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments on how I can improve these videos and how, you feel about the discography ranking. So, number 11, we got Jesus is King. This was his last studio album, and it's not bad, but it's just kind of underdeveloped. He talks about God a lot. He talks about how, God saved him, all the things God does, how it makes him happy, but he never actually talks about how it happens. He just kind of states it. And that's what I think the main problem is with this record lyrically. He doesn't go into depth about any of the topics, which was kind of becoming an issue more and more on each record for Kanye, but it was not even as close to the extent of this. Still a lot of moments I liked. The production here was amazing. You had songs like Closed on Sunday, which had an amazing beat switch. Follow God, God Is, On God, which was produced by Pierre Bourne, had amazing sampling. And, another thing I just loved about this record was the passion in Kanye's vocals. He was super happy. He sounded super rejuvenated about his entire thinking process. So although we didn't get the depth that I wanted, it was still great just to hear him in a good spot. The best track on this thing was definitely Use This Gospel, which reunited the legendary rap duo Clips, which consists of Pusha T and his brother No Malice. And how can anyone hate that amazing solo by Kenny G on his saxophone? So, moving into the next number 10, we got Watch the Throne. Released in 2011, this thing is a collaboration effort between Kanye West and his mentor, Jay-Z. So many bangers, so many decade-defining tracks. You have Otis. You have Friends in Paris. You have No Church in the Wild with Frank Ocean. Man, I can talk about this for hours, about how good, how important those tracks were to the generations of music, making, hip-hop arena anthems. But this thing just kind of falls short outside of those top tracks. There's still some other good moments on this, like Gotta Have It, Ham is all right. But then you have some other moments that just sound outdated, like Who Gonna Stop Me? It sounds like an outdated, Skrillexy dubstep remix, which, just didn't age well. You have some other songs, like Welcome to the Jungle is another one that just is very lackluster. And there's a lot more I can keep talking about. But, I think the pros do outweigh the cons here. This is still a good hip-hop record. And, that's my thoughts. I think the best track on this is New Day, which is produced by RZA. And, it's just a beautiful, down-to-earth track where Kanye, Jay-Z talk about their families, how they feel about themselves as men. And it's one of the only moments where you really hear them as, humans opposed to these superstars. Another honorable mention, though, is Murder to Excellence, which is just phenomenal. Great socially aware anthem. Talking about black-on-black crime. Talking about, issues with wars. It's beautiful. Coming in at number 9. I'm going to get a lot of crap for this. We got Graduation. This was released in 2007. This was his third studio album. I like this album. It's not bad, but at the same time, it's just very, I don't know what other word I'm looking for is here, but this is the thing. You have, the first two albums, College Dropout, Late Registration. Those thrive on their hunger. Then you have The Life of Pablo and Yeezus. Those thrive on their amazing production. Kanye was pretty much the biggest rapper in the world at this point. You lost that hunger, and at the same time, the production, it was very electric-y, which is, he was inspired to create arena music. He went on tour with Daft Punk, and that inspired it. But at the same time, the production hasn't aged well, kind of similar to Watch the Throne. Also, there's not much depth in the record beyond, oh, I'm famous, so I can do this, I can do that. There's really not much. Still, you got a ton of great moments, ton of decade-defining bangers, like Stronger, Can't Tell Me Nothing, Who Can Forget About Flashing Lights. And then, you have some other, tracks, like Good Morning, Champion, solid, really good, really fun. And then you have some, some feel-good tracks, like, what's The Glory? Beautiful, beautiful instrumentals, but it's just, overall, it's just lacking. You have cuts like Barry Bonds, Drunken Hot Girls, which are just kind of just, especially when you're talking in the scheme of Kanye West's catalog, which is so good. But the best track on this thing is Everything I Am, produced by DJ Premier. Beautiful song. Only time in this record you really see Kanye on his knees which, it's not, not bad that we don't see that, but overall the production, everything here just kind of, leaves me wanting something. This is still a good record. For this to be ninth in your discography just shows how good you are. Coming in at number 8, we got Ye. So now this was the first project announced of the Project Wyoming batch. And, it came at a time after Kanye was in a mental hospital. He checked out. He was under a lot of scrutiny. People were waiting for his next album. And people were shocked when they saw that he was going with a 7-song model, especially at a time where, guys like Drake, Migos, who were dominating the charts, had albums that were almost near 30 songs. This album is amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. There's just albums better than it. I'm just trying to think where to start. He talks about his mental problems, how he came out of this hospital, how he's rebuilding his life, how he almost lost his marriage, how he almost lost his kids, how he almost lost everything he worked for. You feel his pain, you feel the passion, you feel his desire to try to be great, but that there's something pulling him back, and it's beautiful. There's so many songs on this thing that are just scream this. Like, I thought about killing you. The way he opens the record, he's telling you, I thought about killing myself. And I love myself more than I love you. That's chilling. And then you have amazing production, which, is a given with Kanye West. But, oh my God, the way Kanye did it with this record was he had these clean instrumentals and he dirtied them up. He scratched them up. And it was awesome. You have the glitchy vocal distortion on Yikes. Then, you have that, those hard-hitting, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the hard-hittingness of Ghost Town, those hard-hitting guitar riffs. It's beautiful. And, then you have like the cold outro of Violent Crimes where you hear him talking about his daughter and how he's worrying about her. And man, this album is amazing. The best track, though, has got to be Ghost Town. Between, his vocals, it's kind of like Runaway in the sense where he's talking about how he's not going to be perfect. He's never going to be loved. But he's accepting it and he's making that what his, what's going to make him the person he is. And then, you have, other parts on that song, Kid Cudi's hook, Party Next Door's part, 070 Shake's outro. Beautiful track. I probably rambled there a little, but, I'm new to this. So, if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Let me know how you feel about this. Coming in at number 7, 808s and Heartbreaks. Made at an all-time low. This man got left by his fiance, Alexis Pfeiffer, and his mother passed away. Very sad time in his life. What did Kanye turn on when he had no one? Music. He created the most influential album possibly of all time, but definitely of our generation. And, this thing's just a very personal collection of heartfelt thoughts. From the intro, Say You Will, you hear him begging for help. You hear him begging for someone to listen to him. And throughout the whole album, those are the themes you get. On Welcome to Heartbreak, it's just a wretched anthem. It's beautiful. It's the introduction to Kid Cudi, which is another reason why this record's so awesome, because this record was what, made us know and love Kid Cudi. But, you hear him. He's never going to be, the family man, or he never thinks he will be. He'll never have, a wife that loves him. He never has these things. And it's scary because some of these things still remain true. And this is, one of the rawest forms of Kanye we ever see. And, you have one of the best tracks of his entire career in Streetlights. Then you have some good moments like See You in My Nightmares, Coldest Winter, Pinocchio Story, which is literally perfect. And is one of the few songs that's made me tear up. The only thing I hate about it is that one vocal screech, which if you listen to the song, you know what I'm talking about. Think of when it starts the second verse and you hear that screech from that girl. When was that? That was in Singapore. Whoever did that, I'm disappointed in you. But besides that, this record's great. It's not bad at all. There's just records better than it. These next 6, though, are amazing. They're a lot better than I think these ones. And this is what really makes Kanye West arguably the greatest hip-hop artist of all time. So, at that note, going into number 6, we got Kids See Ghosts. This came out in 2018 in the Project Wyoming batch, and it's a collaboration with his mentor, Kid Cudi. Or with his mentee, whatever the frick you want to call it. They were both at a low point. They were both at mental lows, both, dealing with depression, suicidal thoughts. And what better way than to come together and defeat their demons in the power of music? And that's certainly what they did. This album embodies a bunch of different styles of sound. There's samples from literally from the 1930s to, 2017, 2018 when the record came out. They're freeing their demons here. They're getting rid of everything riddled inside their minds, and they're letting it out together. They realize we can face these problems better together, better than alone. And realistically, in my opinion, this is the most spiritually cleansing hip-hop album of all time. Just Reborn alone, that track could calm me down no matter how bad of a state I'm in. And that just talks about the power that was made in this record, the passion, the emotion. And I mean, you get that throughout the entire record from Feel the Love, where, you get this nice, vibrant anthem with Pusha T, but there's still a little darkness to it. And then you see the fire in the literal track, Fire. And then, Fourth Dimension, which, might seem very simple on the front with Kanye talking about, his experience with a girl, but, it's much deeper. And then, especially when you get to Cuddy's verse, and then, even Free Part 2, which I think is the worst song on the album, because I'm not a big fan of the vocals. Still a beautiful moment where they just let their demons loose. And, Cuddy Montage is another amazing song. And Kids See Ghosts, you really hear Kanye rap for the first time in a while on those albums. Amazing project. The best song, though, I got to give it to Reborn. It's just too beautiful. This is an awesome album. Coming in at number 5, we got Yeezus. This is the album that a lot of people hated when it came out. Probably his worst received album at launch. But wow, so many people have grown on it. A lot of people have it as their number 1 from what I've seen. But personally, I think this album is perfect in every department but the lyrics. Sonically, it's amazing. It did, the industrial sound that Death Grips was making and just kind of commercialized it a little more. It's not as, dark and abrasive, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many great moments on this thing from, like the crazed, racially motivated black skinhead to the, love anthem with now his divorced wife, Kim Kardashian. Well, they're going to be divorced on Bound 2. Everything here is just so well put together. I mean, you have songs like Hold My Liquor where you see him, guilty, crashing cars. It's so pain felt. And I mean, like, Blood on the Leaves is in itself just one of the best tracks of Kanye's entire career. And how could I not talk about the best song on this thing, New Slaves, which is just a diss at modern America, the people that run it, the corruption inside of it, and the phenomenal beat switch at the end is probably the best beat switch maybe in music history. The sample, which is from some, European band, and then the, Frank Ocean vocals, his own vocals. It's a masterpiece. The lyrics on this album, though, are just not it. I mean, from the historically inaccurate bars to the just gross bars about, sexual actions and stuff like that. Just a lot of lackluster lyrical moments. I mean, I can literally, keep talking about them. There's one about pubic hair, Chewbacca. It's all over the place. Besides that, this album is great, and all the pros definitely outweigh that one con, which feels minor in the grand scheme of things. Coming in at number 4, it's the album that started it all, The College Dropout. This is Kanye's first record, and, it's his hungriest. The hunger, the passion he has on this record is just amazing. Hearing him want it. He wants it on this record. He wants to be the biggest rapper in the world. He wants to prove Jay-Z wrong, the guy who signed him, who didn't believe he could make this album. He wants to prove Dame Dash wrong. He wants to prove everyone wrong on this thing. Even, his own family, his own doubters, everything. And I mean, you get so many just well-addressed themes that you weren't hearing at the time of hip-hop. At this time in hip-hop, you had guys like 50 Cent, Eminem, who were more violent acts running the charts, Jay-Z even, Cameron even. But I mean, you hear him talk about things such as family and, his grandmother, his mother, how, school, education, the power of education. What does education mean? He poses a lot of powerful questions. They diss, Bill Clinton on this record on 2 words, presidential scandals. They talk about, drugs. So many things are brought up, and it really challenges you to think. And, how could you not talk about Through the Wire? This man literally rapped with his jaw shut. I mean, Drake couldn't drop an album because he tore his ACL. But this man, Kanye, rapped with his mouth shut. Pretty crazy. But this album is phenomenal from top to bottom. The only thing I don't like about it is the skits. I think they get a little annoying. And also, I've never really been a big fan of Breathe In, Breathe Out with Ludacris. It's not bad. It's just kind of dull to me. But everything else here is fine. Now, the top 3, I think these are all so good. So good. And I hope you guys agree with these next 3, because these are, super important. I think this is where, the most parody will happen. So, number 3, Life of Pablo, 2016. Again, this was made when, Kanye's life was starting to heighten up in the stress of it again, in the intensity. And, he put together the messiest masterpiece hip-hop has ever seen. That's the best way to put this album. It's all over the place sonically. You have everything from gospel to trap to boom bap to literally a beat produced by the underground king of instrumentals, Madlib. This thing is all over the place. You have 80s dance samples. You have so many just weird things that don't belong together, but somehow they all do. They all come together here perfectly. From the, the heavenly intro, Ultralight Beam, to the, the godlike outro of St. Pablo. everything here somehow fits. Kanye talks about so many things. He talks to his dead mother on some tracks. He talks about how his father raised him wrong. He talks about how he worries about his kids and his wife. He talks about how it feels to have a newborn son, how that kid is going to follow in his footsteps, his hopes, his dreams, his aspirations, things he's messed up on. This album has so much content embedded in it, and the features are amazing. Chance the Rapper on Ultralight Beam, Andre 3000 on 30 Hours, Young Thug, The Weeknd, Frank Ocean, Sia, Vic Mensa, Kendrick Lamar on No Parties in LA. This thing is stacked with features. The interludes are pretty good too. I mean, Lowlights, it just adds to the religious. The Silver Surfer intermission with Max B is awesome. The only thing I don't care for here is Fade. Fade, I just don't think fits the album. I think it pulls away in the album's most meaningful stretch. It's the only messy part of the album that doesn't fit with the rest of the messiness, if that makes sense. I think it honestly probably should have been on like Post Malone Stoney, because it has more Post Malone and more Ty Dolla $ign than Kanye. But besides Fade, I love this album. The best track, I'm just going to run through some honorable mentions because there's a lot, Real Friends, Ultralight Beam, No More Parties in LA, 30 Hours, FML, but the best track is St. Pablo. Great album. This is the definition of a classic. Also, that Madison Square Garden release party is unforgettable, and I wish I was there. Coming in at number 2, we got Late Registration. This is Kanye's second album. It's released in 2005, and it was his second highest selling, almost moving about 800K in the first week. This thing is awesome. It takes everything the College Dropout does and makes it better. First of all, Kanye's now experienced stardom. He's won the Grammy, so he knows how it is to be famous. So he adds that fame in, but he still has that fiery family life that he talks about when he appreciates his mother on Hey Mama, and even talks about the traumatizing experience of his grandmother dying and questioning why people like her die and why, rich celebrities like Magic Johnson were able to live on the heart-wrenching roses. So many great moments here, so many fun tracks, so many deep tracks. He talks about, the diamonds and Sierra Leone, how they are made, if he should really be wearing them, his comfort in wearing those. And it's just so deep and so passionate. It's crazy. The production here is so good. He took, the soulfulness of the College Dropout and jazzed it up. And it's so enjoyable from, the intro, from Heard 'Em Say with Adam Levine to, Celebration and even, late, the hidden track. It's so good. And I mean, the way Kanye sampled his vocals into these tracks is crazy. If you listen with headphones on, and the best example of this is in Addiction, where in the bridge of the song, you hear 3 different renditions of his vocal patterns, making the melody of the song. It's mind-boggling. This is the definition of a great album, and this is an all-time classic in every sense of the word. So, those were all 10 albums. Now we're going to the number 1 spot. I think most people would say this is the number 1, but there's some edgelords in there who try to call this a 6, and Fantano who calls it a 6. But number 1 is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This thing was made at the height of Kanye's scrutiny under the media. He, dissed the 16-year-old Taylor Swift on stage. Everyone went crazy. Kanye's rude. Kanye's this. Kanye knew he messed up. So what did he do? He went into exile. And what did he turn on? He turned on his friend Music to help him. What did this dude do? He invited almost every major artist, every major friend he had. Kobe Bryant was there. Chris Rock was there. Jay-Z was there. Elton John was there. Literally, Drake, J. Cole, they were young. They were there. If you were a musician, you most likely were here. Madlib was there. Mos Def, Beyonce, Rihanna. Everyone was in these sessions. I wish we had a documentary of, what happened in these sessions, kind of similar like what we got with Revenge of the Genius 3, just longer and better because, probably care about this a lot more than that. But this record embodies everything Kanye West is about. You have soulfulness, you have rock elements, you have, Kanye's hard-hitting lyricism, which, this is probably his best album lyrically. I mean, his first 2 might be a little better, but this is right there. He talks about everything from, his mental state, how the media perceives him, how he feels about his, newfound love with Kim Kardashian to, oh my, I mean, I can go on for hours talking about how good this thing is. My main problem with this record, and in my opinion, it would be, I'm just going to say this is not the best hip-hop record of all time, but it would be if it ended at Runaway. Those next tracks aren't bad, but they pull away from the album's meaning, and if you ask me. The album is about how Kanye dealt with stardom, how he's going to live knowing that this ego will never fade him, and how the media's perception of him will never fade. And those last tracks kind of pull away. With Blame Game, which is not bad, it's just kind of a lovey anthem. There's a remorseful lovey anthem. Then you have Hell of a Life, which is a fun track. Definitely fits Life of Pablo more with its craziness. Lost in the World is fine. It's not bad. But again, maybe it should have been earlier in the track list. I don't know. But those 9 tracks, wow. So appalled. You hear him team up with Jay-Z, Pusha T, Shy High, The Prince. They cross their hearts and they literally hope to die. They don't care. They have no fears on that song. They are rapping their hearts out. Everyone. When Jay-Z says, would you rather be underpaid or overrated? That line tests you. It makes you think. And there's so many of those moments. So many standout features. Nicki Minaj on Monster. Pusha T on Runaway. Rick Ross on Devil in a New Dress, who spits one of the greatest verses of all time. Raekwon on Gorgeous. Kid Cudi's hook on Gorgeous. So many great moments. This thing is hard, and I know so many people can say, what the best song is. I think Dark Fantasy is amazing. I think Runaway is amazing like everyone else. I think Devil in a New Dress is also amazing. Power is even, so underrated by, diehard Kanye fans. But the best song, in my opinion, on this thing is Gorgeous. That captures every moment of Kanye. You have a great hook, the great instrumental, which samples some 80s guitar song, and or I think it might be the 70s, whatever. But Kanye's verses on those songs are his best. He talks about racial injustice, corruption, greed, his alcohol addiction. Everything is there, and it's beautiful. So we went through it. Just to recap, it goes Jesus is King, Watch the Throne, Graduation, Yay, 808, Kids See Ghosts, Yeezus, College Dropout, Late Registration, My Beautiful Dark Twisted, Life of Pablo, Late Registration, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This was our first video. I hope it went well. I hope you guys enjoy it. Stick around. We're going to be doing a lot more content on other platforms. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. Let me know what I can do to improve these. And let me know if you enjoyed it. Please, this means a lot to me. I'm really trying to, give you guys more content, provide more as a service. I'm going to try to do these maybe, once every 2 days. We're going to see how this happens. We're going to see how this goes. But, yeah, I hope you guys had fun listening to me talk. I'm going to get better as this goes on. And thanks for being here. Everyone, take care. Have a good one. Fantastic. Signing out.